Alright, so as promised, today we're taking a look at the new Marshall Monitor 3, and we're going to see how they stack up to the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra and the Sony XM5. We got a couple categories that we're going to cover, so feel free to check out the sections that are most important to you. Now, all three headphones come with a protective case, which is great for on-the-go use, but the main thing to point out here is that the Marshall case has the smallest overall footprint. You can see it compared to the Bose case as well as the Sony case. It is thicker than the Bose and Sony case, but overall I'd say it's the most compact. Now, strictly from an appearance and design standpoint, I love the color scheme that you get with this case. Obviously it's black on the outside, but on the inside you got this red velvet interior, which looks great up against the black and gold headphones. You also have this nice little pocket for your accessories, and just the overall first impression of the case and the headphones feels more premium. I wouldn't say the materials are necessarily any better or that the case is going to protect the headphones better than the case of the Bose or the Sony. I think all three do a great job in that regard. But again, just the first impression, the looks, the appearance, the design. Personally, I prefer the Monitor 3. Now, whether style points matter to you, that's something you'll have to decide for yourself. With the Bose and the Sony, for the most part, you have a monochrome black color scheme. Whereas with the Monitor 3, you got the black, you got the brass accents, and then the red interior of the case just adds a little bit more flair. Taking a closer look at the headphones, the Monitor 3 are once again the most compact out the bunch. You can see just how small they're able to collapse, and they kind of have to in order to fit into that smaller case. The Quietcomfort Ultra are also very compact. You can see that the headphones swivel and fold, but they're not quite as compact as the Monitor 3. And then there's the XM5, which swivel but don't fold, so these are the least compact out the bunch. As far as portability, personally, I'd lean towards the Monitor 3 or the Quietcomfort Ultra. From there, let's actually get into comfort. All three headphones are extremely lightweight. They each come in right around 8.7 to 8.8 ounces, so not really any big weight discrepancies. They each have a decent amount of padding. The ear cups are similar in size, and I would feel just fine with any one of these for long periods of time. Now, one thing I will say is that the padding on the Monitor 3 is the softest and plushiest out of the group. It kind of feels like that old leather couch that you've had for a really long time. It's got that kind of buttery softness to it. It's very forgiving. And for that reason, you could give these a slight edge as far as comfort. But with the padding being as soft as it is, one thing I'm curious to see is how well it holds up over time, especially if you're going to subject these to intense daily use. I've only had my pair for a little over a month, so I can't really speak to that yet, but it is something I'll be keeping an eye on. Another thing to consider is the layout of the buttons and controls. So the Quietcomfort Ultra use a physical button for your playback as well as your ambient sound, and then you have a touch capacitive area for the volume. The XM5 use a physical button to control the ambient sound, but all of your playback controls, including volume, are handled with a touch capacitive surface on the right ear cup. The Monitor 3, on the other hand, use physical buttons for everything. So you've got a multi-function control knob for your playback controls. You have this M button, which can be customized in the app. And then you have the ANC button for your ambient sound. I know touch controls can be hit or miss for a lot of people. So if you prefer physical controls, the Monitor 3 might be more your speed. One other thing to highlight is that all three headphones have wearing detection, which automatically pauses your music anytime you take the headphones off. The next category is connection. Obviously, all three headphones are Bluetooth compatible, but they also have wired options as well. The Monitor 3 come with a Type-C to 3.5mm cable. The Quietcomfort Ultra come with a 2.5 to 3.5mm cable, and the XM5 come with a 3.5 to 3.5mm cable. One thing to point out is that only the XM5 seem to work in wired mode with the headphones turned off. So if you want to take a break from Bluetooth for any reason, or if you just don't need noise cancellation or transparency, you can plug these in and still be good to go. Now, with that said, the sound quality does take a hit without power, primarily in terms of the bass. It's not nearly as strong compared to when the headphones are powered on. The other thing to highlight as far as connection is that all three support multi-point, which allows you to connect to two devices at once. As far as connecting to two phones, I've had a pretty seamless experience with all three, but when it comes to connecting to a phone and maybe something like a laptop, I will say that the Quietcomfort Ultra and the XM5 seem to be a tad smoother, and that could be because they have dedicated multi-point modes. You actually have to go into the app and activate multi-point, which I'm assuming optimizes the connection for multiple devices. With the Monitor 3, the multi-point is just active at all times. And again, switching between two phones has been seamless, but switching between a phone and a laptop is not quite as smooth as the Quietcomfort or the XM5. Another thing to consider as far as connection is that the Monitor 3 are Bluetooth LE compatible, which basically future-proofs the headphones and opens them up to Auracast, which is an audio sharing technology. It's not something that's widely used yet, but that could quickly change in the next few years. Now, switching gears and moving over to battery life, the Monitor 3 run away with this category with up to 100 hours on a single charge. Like I've said, I've had these for around a month and I've yet to charge them. Now, with active noise cancellation, that number drops down closer to 70 hours, which is still more than double the 30 hours you can expect from the XM5 and the 24 hours that you can expect from the Quietcomfort Ultra. So if you're that person that often forgets to charge things, the Monitor 3 could give you some peace of mind. Now let's go ahead and get into one of the most, if not the most important category, which is sound. It is worth noting that the Quietcomfort and the XM5 have high resolution capability with Snapdragon certified sound on the Quietcomfort and the LDAC codec on the XM5. However, I don't think that matters much. All three headphones sound great. Honestly, if you end up with any of these, you're in good hands. You're going to get great bass, great treble, great clarity, no distortion, and it was kind of tricky comparing the three because the profile of the sound can change depending on volume level. There was definitely times I felt like the Quietcomfort had the deepest, hardest hitting bass, and then I would adjust the volume and all of a sudden all three headphones sound pretty even. The only thing I can say for sure is that the Monitor 3 do seem to be the most dynamic. I feel like they cover a wider range of frequencies at one time. So again, bass, pretty similar across the three headphones, but when it comes to treble, it is noticeably brighter and more pronounced on the Monitor 3. I feel like you get more of that V-shaped type of sound and things just sound more open in my opinion. I would also say the Monitor 3 seem to have the best balance at max volume. For example, like I said with the Quietcomfort, there were times it felt like the bass hit the deepest and was the strongest out of the group, but that was typically when things were at 70% volume or lower. As you get closer to 100%, it feels like the bass starts to plateau. Whereas with the Monitor 3, the bass pretty much stays consistent no matter the volume level. If you're listening at 20% or at 100%, you get the same profile. I think the XM5 stay pretty consistent as well, but I don't think they sound as clean as the Monitor 3 at max volume. Now, a lot of this information you kind of have to take with a grain of salt, considering all three headphones have the option of customizable EQ. The other thing to touch on is spatial audio. With the Quietcomfort Ultra, you have immersive audio, which is a pretty standard spatial audio feature. You can choose to use it with or without motion tracking, and it basically opens up the sound, gives you more spatial awareness. If you've tried spatial audio before, you pretty much know what you're getting into. The Monitor 3, on the other hand, have something different called Soundstage, which I actually like quite a bit. And it has a way of making your music sound like it's coming from a live venue. It does a really good job of adding reverb and ambiance, and then on top of that, you have a lot more control over the effect. So you can choose the room size you want to imitate, and you can choose how strong you want the effect to be. And it just does a great job of making things sound even more open. The next big ticket item is noise cancellation, and this one's pretty straightforward. The Quietcomfort Ultra are flat out the best in that regard. So if ANC is your main priority, these are definitely the way to go. From there, I'd say the XM5 and the Monitor 3 are pretty similar in performance. As far as transparency mode, it's basically the opposite. The XM5 and the Monitor 3 seem to do a better job of passing through your ambient sounds compared to the Quietcomfort.
Immersion. Quiet. Immersion. Quiet.
All right, so as far as the microphone test, right now what you guys are listening to is the Marshall Monitor 3 ANC. Standard outdoor test, not a whole lot going on out here as far as traffic or anything like that. You might pick up a little bit of wind noise, but for the most part, this should give you a general idea as to how you would sound if you choose to use these for phone calls. And next up, we have the Sony WH-1000XM5. And if history repeats itself, I have a feeling that these will have the best overall microphone performance, but we'll see once we go back and edit the video. All right, so last but not least, we have the Bose Quietcomfort Ultra. I've always been a little bit iffy as far as the microphone performance when it comes to Bose products, so we'll see how these sound stacked up to the other two headphones. Make sure you guys let me know down in the comment section what you guys think. Which one do you think sounds the best? So with all that being said, each one of these headphones is an amazing option. You're going to be in great hands no matter which way you go. But for me, if I had to choose just one, I would probably go with the Monitor 3. And it's mainly because of the sound. I feel like it's more in line with what I personally prefer. Now, the good thing is I own all three, so I don't necessarily have to choose, but hopefully this video helps you decide which one might be the best for you. So that pretty much covers it for this video. I hope you guys found it to be helpful. I will have the links to all three headphones in the description box below in case you're interested. And aside from that, I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you in the next one.